We do a lot of things together. We've been best friends for 11 years. Ding, ding, ding. Really a pro?
Wow.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Travel Reimagined. I'm Jacqueline.
I'm Chase.
And today we are going to be answering all of your top most burning questions about RV life. Selected 20 questions that you guys submitted throughout social media and YouTube.
Number 11, what are your must-know travel tips for travel day in your RV? Which is a very underrated question.
Yeah.
I think the cheesiest advice we've got has turned out to be the best advice.
True. That's fair.
So some of the most underrated advice we've gotten, I think, in number one for travel day was always pack food in advance. If especially a couple different things. If you can't access your fridge, that's not going to be fun. But even if you
Get a
can,
cooler.
have it prepared.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the one thing is, we don't always want to stop for a half an hour at a time
Yeah.
to make a meal and eat somewhere.
Gas stops are long enough as is. You don't
Yeah.
want to add a whole nother stop to have lunch.
And that just stretches your travel day out. So it's like efficient snacks, sandwiches, stuff like that.
Yeah, we pack sandwiches and we meal prep our dinner for that night in
Yeah.
advance so that when we arrive, we can eat right away and we're not going to be grouchy. And also after a long day, nobody wants to cook. That's not fun.
Well, and also, if you stop somewhere overnight and you're boondocking in a
True.
parking lot or the
You're
travel
not gonna
stop
cook.
somewhere, you also don't want to do the dishes, too. That's a big thing.
True.
So you want to think about what the type of food is, where you can just grab a bite and eat instead of having to even warm things up on a plate
Yeah.
and you got a dirty plate. So
True.
it's all, you have to think about those things.
True. And then the other thing is making sure your utilities are full. So we always travel with our generator gas full. Some water. We don't do a full water tank, but we do put some fresh water in.
Yeah.
Should we need to stop somewhere urgently, for example, like Chase said, a parking for the night or a harvest host or anything like that, especially if something happens and it's an emergency. We want to make sure we can run our generator. We'll have power. We'll have electricity. We have water and those kinds of things. So I think that's another thing.
And everyone uses different amounts of water, too. I think that's something we're still learning. We don't really know how much, so if anyone has any recommendations,
I think
let
we've
us
been
know how
doing-
much you use, because
Yeah.
we're kind of, sometimes we have way too much, and sometimes we
I guess it
run out.
depends. We took a shower on our last pit stop, so I think that's why we ran out of water. We each took one. And then pre-planned routes. Chase pre-plans his routes in, what do you call it?
Originally, when we first started, we had no idea what to do, where to stop. We knew that I've used truck stops before, but I've never had to worry so much
Yeah.
about how far away the next stop is that
Yeah.
you actually can fit in with this large of an RV. Certain parts of the country, really easy. Obviously, there's lots of truck stop gas stations that fit semi-truck style or large RV areas, but you do get in parts that there is some stretches in which you don't have large gas stations that can
Right.
fit you. So that was the biggest stress of mine, probably for the first.
And Chase is always stressed. Chase is still stressed about that.
No, not anymore. Because now we use Trucker Path.
Yes.
That's been the greatest app that we have found. You put in your size, your weight, because it doesn't route you under any bridges that are too low for your height or over your capacity and weight. And you along the way can find gas stations that fit large rigs. So
And
for me, that was really
Parking
big.
lots, bathrooms, things like that.
Yeah, so that was a really big stress that was alleviated that I wish we would have known earlier. Number 12, how do you budget for your travels and manage expenses while living in an RV?
That's more of a Chase question. I
Go
like to
for it.
tell Chase that money is not a problem. Even though that's not the reality, but we just like to pretend. I would say Chase does monthly budgeting. He checks our regular expenses just like you probably do at your own home. He does monthly budgeting, regular checking our finances, looking at our prior month's expense. We also oftentimes we keep like a fund where we keep for repairs. So we do have a savings account where should something go wrong, we have money in that so that we could good point. When something goes wrong, we have money in there in order to use towards repairs. Emergencies, Duke had to have an emergency surgery. That's another expense that we weren't expecting, especially we had to be new patients at a new vet since we were not in our home area. So things like that, they happen. Making sure you have emergency funds for yourself and your pets, and then as well as your RV for repairs.
And as far as expenses go, I'd say it's a different shift from when you live in a house. Live in a house, everything's it's a fixed expense for the most part, right? That you either have a mortgage, right, that you have a contract out for a long time.
Right.
You've got a lot of these reoccurring expenses. This lifestyle, a lot of that shifted to variable, right? I think our reoccurring fixed are some insurance, internet, that sort of idea, but we really have control of where we stay because we don't book out for 6 months.
So
in
I'd
one
say,
place.
going off of Chase saying, like, understanding your fixed versus variable costs. Your fixed costs for us are going to be more like insurance. If you have a payment on your RV or on your truck, that kind of stuff is fixed. Like, you have to pay for those things. But your variable costs, like Chase is making a great point, is you can adjust. Sometimes we go in different towns or different areas where we might say we're going to stay at state parks versus a campground so that we can save money in certain months, especially if we know we want to be doing something. We want to, let's say, go to a concert and we know it's going to cost us a little more than we thought. We could reduce some of our other variable expenses. So we try to adjust based on like where we'll be and what we're doing. That also goes with knowing your location though. Do remember that like in the winter, Florida is going to be 3 times more expensive than it is any other time of the year.
If you don't book in advance.
Even if you book in advance, it's still more expensive. But yeah, things when you don't book in advance, just being conscious of the fact that like Florida is going to cost you more in the winter versus Vermont. So thinking about seasonally and where you're going to be is an important thing as far as your costs go.
Number 13, what's the best piece of advice you received before starting your RV journey?
Oh, good question.
I would say a big one right off the bat, especially for people who are thinking about this getting into the lifestyle. Goes back to what we said before, buy the rig that for the lifestyle you want.
Yeah.
That's very important. There's so many options. They're all different, and it really depends what you need.
Right.
So think about how you're going to live, what you're going to do, and then buy something for that, because that's very important. You can't go back on it.
Yeah. I mean, I was just going to say never arrive hungry, but I guess Chase had a better advice. When we arrive, you always have a cocktail after the car has been parked and put away, and never arrive hungry. Or have to pee.
That's a big one.
Nothing screws up a parking lot faster than dancing back and forth.
That also goes back to how do you stop fights?
Bathroom, food, drinks.
All right, number 14. What's one travel tip / hack you wish you had known before hitting the road?
I'd say the one thing I really wish I would have understood is that you can't run 2 water sources at one time. I think that was something I never really thought about. So for example, if I'm in the shower and Chase goes to run a little laundry or brush his teeth or wash his hands, similar to like how old homes used to, if you flush the toilet, I think even new homes, I don't know. But if you flush the toilet when someone's in the shower, burning hot or you lose water, we don't have enough water pressure to be able to push it between all of the variables. So if you get in the shower and somebody starts the laundry, the person in the shower is very upset. And like, you know, we usually hear each other shouting, can you pause the laundry? You know, the person showering at night and you're brushing your teeth or like washing your face. And then you go, oh, shoot, sorry.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
As soon as you turn the water on. So I think that was something I really wish someone would have explained to me before I started. Just because I think that's really, that makes your entire day kind of have to, I mean, not your entire day, I don't want to be super dramatic, but you do have to plan things around that. If Chase has to go somewhere, I can't be running laundry if he needs to be in the shower getting out. So just like be conscious of that.
Mine would have been the trucker app. You know,
Yeah.
Using Trucker Path way earlier because
Like where to stop for gas and
where
stuff.
to stop for gas, where you can fit,
Yeah.
routes to take. I was very stressed, especially with like power lines. I didn't know what roads, you know, for bridges, power lines.
We were like trying to
that
measure.
Sorta, yeah, that was very stressful at first. So I wish I would have gotten that advice way earlier.
And where to find better campsites. We're still learning on that one. So if anyone has recommendations, but we kind of just Google most of them.
Next question. What are your favorite activities to do together as a couple on the road?
We like to tell people we trail run. We've trail run one time. So don't let us fool you.
Runners who don't run.
We don't actually run.
But
I don't know.
I think in Florida, though, we've done a lot of water activities.
Yeah.
Done a lot of like
Hiking, surfing, swimming.
Yeah, and really getting out there and enjoying that sort of water. So it really depends where we're at. If we're up more in the mountains, we'll do a lot more hiking. But I think we try to do more outdoor activities together recently. That's been really fun.
We've done hiking, walking, you know, I don't know. We don't have a lot of activities. You're not in one place a lot, so you should kind of try a lot of different things, I think. But we just like being together. We do whatever we feel like, I guess.
All right, next question. What's the most memorable experience you've had while RVing? Good or bad?
Go ahead.
I, hands down, the most memorable ingrained in my mind, whether for a good thing or a bad thing, is us showing up to a campground probably close to midnight, if I remember correct.
Where was it?
This was in Vermont, and
this was
fun. We were trying to beat a storm.
We actually have some clips from this that we never turned into a video. I will expose you some of them at the end.
It was I'd say, our first time experiencing parking in the dark.
Yes.
In the rain.
Yes.
And and our jacks didn't work.
The site wasn't level, so when we arrived, we didn't understand that if the front is lower than the back part of your RV, when trying to level, that your auto level may not work. It may like get
Well,
all
we didn't realize
wonky.
that there's a little leeway for air there, and we had no idea how much. And it was a lot less than I thought.
Yeah, so our auto leveling jacked out. We like tried it multiple times. Then we were manually leveling. I was panicking because I was like, it's not going to be level and we're all going to fall off this. We were hanging off a cliff. I want that to be very much noted. So, okay, it was like a hill, but we were hanging off of it. And I was just thinking, oh my God, we're going to be uneven. We're going to fall. They're going to roll down this hill. In our literal second trip ever. So
That was pretty memorable.
yeah, that was an interesting one. And it was dark and we were soaking wet. It was a lot. We'll show you some behind the scene clips of that one I do have.
But I will say it was also memorable on the end of it too, where we were sitting inside, absolutely soaked, laughing at each other, going, "What just happened?"
We had a great time. Like, we were annoyed in the moment, but we both still agreed we wanted to continue RVing after that. So I think that was a win.
You had the highs and the lows. What was your moment?
I'd say our second campground ever, maybe it was our first, I can't really even remember. It was the very first time we actually took the RV out by ourselves, doing the whole thing, not just driving somewhere. And we went to Hoff State Park in Michigan, and we pull in, we park, we like level. We're very much still getting used to it. It takes like 3 hours just to park the RV, okay, at this point.
It was a tight state park.
It was tight. We're in like this weird round thing. So Chase booked this campground 6 months earlier. Again, we didn't have an RV then, so we didn't really know what we were looking for. And we parked the whole thing and we go and like set the electricity up and all this stuff up. And Chase and I look at each other and I was like, Chase, there's no water hookup here. And he's like, no, I know it has to be here. So we like looked around. I'm like, oh my God, there's no water. And we didn't even know how to fill our freshwater tank at this point. I'm not even sure if we knew you could at this point. It's already taken us about 2 hours to park at that point too. So we were not putting the jacks back up and the slides back in and driving back to the front to figure that out. We were like, screw it. So we literally got
back too. It was
a
not
very back of the camper. And it took us a long time to get there because there's a lot of trees.
And a lot of people.
So we spent the next week drinking out of buckets. So we got buckets of water and like filled them and we drank out of them.
They were water jugs, okay?
They were buckets, okay.
They were designed for drinking water.
Buckets. So, and then we used the community shower, which was like experience. I remember that being, it was a hoot. Yeah, I felt like I was back at like my childhood camp with my friends. That is the only outdoor thing I did, and that wasn't even really outdoors. I would consider it. We basically would go to the community showers, and there was other ladies in there, and I was chit-chatting, and it was fun. But it ended up being fun.
Yeah.
It was like very upsetting originally because I don't think we knew what to do. But now we know, so look out for that.
Next question. How do you handle storms in the RV?
We talked about this a couple days ago. We posted a reel, so if you want to check out like more information, we do have this. But I would just say a couple quick things. Storms are not that big of a deal. I feel like people are always asking this question. I mean,
yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways to look at it.
I don't know.
While you're driving, while you're parked.
I know.
Different
I mean,
areas.
and I'm sure that's just like living in a house. And there's a lot of different kinds. And there's different kinds of storms. So I would say high winds was one thing that we weren't really familiar with. Well, actually, when we were in Vermont, that happened to us. We had 45-mile-an-hour winds. So they do recommend between 35 and 45 and up mile-per-hour winds, which obviously don't happen as often. You should take your slides in just to be safe. It'll put all your stability in the center. No more wiggling. It's just safer, and it also causes less damage or cracking. Obviously, a lot of people are probably concerned more about like tornadoes, hurricanes, those kinds of things. Number one, ask your campground if they have a shelter. A lot of places we've received like text messages saying if you're not feeling safe staying in your camper during XYZ inclement weather, you can come to our shelter or our community center or whatever. So a lot of them actually have places like that.
And they're very proactive.
Very proactive.
Kind of
Lots of campgrounds will send you text messages if there's high winds or anything so you can secure items because they obviously don't want stuff flying around their campsite either. They don't want to pick it up.
I'd say though, the one thing I didn't know about with high winds was with your slide toppers. I really wasn't expecting that'd be a problem, but I would say that is a negative, in my opinion, to a slide topper.
Yeah.
Is that those do sometimes catch wind and create noise, especially ones over if you have a bed slide.
Yeah.
So just something to think about there.
So we put like pool noodles in ours. You can use beach balls, blow up, things like that.
Yeah.
That's
People
definitely a
get
good one.
Creative. But that's just something that we weren't ready or expecting.
And then I would just say the rain gets amplified. You're basically in a tin box. So just be aware of that. Storms are really not as scary as you think. And the reality is you bought a house on wheels. So if all else fails, drive away. I think people get freaked out and I'm like, it's not if you know the storm's coming and you're going to be uncomfortable, then move campgrounds, move locations, move cities, move towns, move states. It doesn't matter. I know that's easier said than done in a lot of scenarios, but the reality is if you really believe that something's coming, if you had a hurricane coming, I would get out. I would not.
A lot of our neighbors did too.
A lot of people just park, get in their RV and they drive away. So I know that's a very common question, but I would not be worried about storms. I really don't think we've had any that we've been like really scared for. I'm sure there are people who do, but don't let that be like a determining factor not to do it.
You do have to watch the weather, before travel days, because you're in so many different locations,
That's
different
true.
states. You can't just, take it for granted and not look at it.
So
So you have to be
pull over if
proactive.
it's unsafe to drive. Try not to drive during them.
Again, you have, like, especially in this model, we have, I think, 150 gallons of fresh water. We got about 60 gallons for our generator. I mean, we can last a long time.
Filling those up before a storm comes is always a good idea. Should power or water go out, you can at least have it.
Yeah, it makes you feel safe. Next question, how do you handle emergencies or repairs while on the road? That's a good question.
I know Chase has said like we've been very lucky enough to have most of the problems we've had have been under warranty. And so Brinkley has actually sent out people to come and repair those things for us. There are things called RV tech. So if it is not under warranty, you can actually hire an RV tech. They can come out and fix most of these problems for you. Pretty simple. Same as a house. So don't be concerned. They pretty much come out to any campground. Most of them actually live in an RV themselves too. So they're not super uncomfortable. Obviously they work on RVs, so they're not going to be concerned. I would also say most of our repairs have been same day fixes. They haven't been like long term. We do have some warranty work coming up that we are going to drop our RV off in Indiana at the Brinkley Center. But otherwise, most of our things have been pretty small, or Chase for the most part has learned to fix the majority of things that
you
go
have
wrong.
to. I'd say that'd be the other half if you aren't comfortable, which we never owned a home.
Right.
So we rented before. We kind of had the luxury of always being able to have the landowner or landlord fix it, So I think that was one big thing. When you do get an RV, stuff will go wrong.
Right.
Not
Not if, it's when. Yeah.
And hopefully they're more minor. And so you really just have to figure it out.
Yeah.
YouTube's your friend.
Absolutely.
All right, next question. Ooh, we have a pet-friendly question. How do you live with a Great Dane in your RV? And honestly, I think we get asked this at every campground we go to.
They go, how does he fit in there? Your miniature horse. Do you have a saddle for that thing? If you ever see a Great Dane, please do not ask that. That is like, we're in like those community groups for RV or Great Danes. And the amount of people who get so mad by that question, do you know how many times a day we hear that? Like 7. Don't ever ask that question. It is the most annoying.
Just get creative.
Yeah, get creative if you're going to ask a question. I would say for us, we've made a lot of things pet friendly. Brinkley even has pet friendly options like pop out bowls that like hide. Our dog is too large for them personally, so they don't really work for us.
The screen doors. On the
Yeah,
front,
they do have screen doors, so there's no scratching, which like dogs scratch when they see you outside.
But that was my biggest concern, honestly.
Yeah.
We left the screen door open that he could just bust through.
And the mesh they've added like between the gates on the patio door so that he couldn't slide through one. There are a lot of features that we found in our own RV that were pet friendly. You can obviously add a lot of these things as well. I would say we've added other features like putting carpeting on the stairs to make it safer for him. Things like that.
And easier to walk up, grip, those sort of things. I think are nice. There's no carpet in here, so we don't really have to worry about cleanliness. That's a really big thing. Fabric couches, that's honestly a huge thing. We had that in the house, and that was horrible.
Yeah, the smell from like fabric from pets is not fun. Truthfully, we have a Velcro dog. He's laying at our feet right now. He just like wants to be around us all the time, or he just wants to sleep. He's a Great Dane, and he is 10 years old, so like he pretty much just snores and chills in the background. He doesn't do anything super. Do not kick that tripod. Don't you? I'm talking about you, little stinker. He just wants to ruin my videos, but I know you're so cute though.
But overall, I think it's really easy. Shockingly easy, to be honest, having this large of a dog in this small space. I mean,
he wanted to be on top of us in general in the big house, so it doesn't make it any less.
It's harder for him to turn around, I'd say, like in little hallway areas. But
we do laugh because in order for him to turn around, he has to go all the way into the garage, turn around, and come back. He could turn around in other places, but he doesn't really understand the concept. So he's so big that he does need turn radius, but he can do it. He's fine. He doesn't really bump into anything, and he only has one eye. For all of you who don't know, so. He really should be bumping into more things. But honestly, no, I think it's pretty easy. With Duke is an easy travel companion too. Making sure that like if your pet is anxious, that you have medications or things that you need, familiar blankets and beddings and things like that. But everything is very homey to Duke. He seems pretty content in here.
Yeah, most places we've been to are really pet friendly.
Yeah.
Most campgrounds have dog parks.
Yeah.
They've got trashes, all over for you. I mean, it's really an easy community. I think everyone from we've seen has some sort of a pet. So I wouldn't say there's any concern with it, and the size for him seems shockingly easy for us.
He's pretty easy.
All right.
Number 20.
There we go. What do you love most about What do you love most about full-time RV living?
Ooh, there's so many things I love.
Mm, this is a big question. I'm honestly, I don't think this is like my only. There's a lot of answers.
Yeah.
What I love most is I think it allows us to live the life we want,
Hmm.
or the life that we thought we wanted, or didn't even realize we wanted almost.
True. Yeah.
Where we can get out, we can explore, we can see really cool places that we never would have spent time in.
True.
Most of the time we traveled before, you get on the road and you drive through these places.
True. Yeah.
So I think it allowed us to travel, but still keep our jobs and work full
Hmm.
time. And I really have technology to thank for that.
Absolutely.
But I think that was a really big plus for me. And along that way, I think we've really found a cool hobby for each other that we actually got a new skill along the way where it helped us
That's
learn and
definitely
grow
true.
and communicate on a whole nother level and have a really good time. I think it's really been fun for me.
Good. I'd say I mean, there's so many things I love about this, but I think for us, it's slowed our lives down a little.
Mhm.
And I say that in a positive way, not like we're hindered. I mean, I think before we were we've always been, we're hard workers. We like to work. We like to do things with our friends. We were very busy. I think this has given us a really nice thing for just us to share, and really nice as a couple. I think as a family, like we really get to enjoy each other's company in like a very different kind of way. So I'd say like I think it's helped us slow down. We often say we've cheated time. We just feel like we have so much more time in our day. We look up and it's only 6 o'clock. Of course, there are still regular days we work till 9 o'clock at night and we do things that like have to get done. But I would say overall, I think it's slowed us down. It's given us more time to enjoy each other and things that maybe we would have never experienced. And I think truly, if we would have bought a house in Austin and settled down, or even somewhere else, I think right now we'd be sitting in our house sad that we did. Like we would have been missing out on certain things that we personally were just not going to do without a push to do it. We were never going to be, we've always been very logical, level-headed kind of people. So I think this was already a shock, but I do think this pushed us to be more like go and do something we would have never done. And so it's allowed us to slow our lives down, really enjoy each other's company, and just experience something that we wouldn't have before.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah. Okay, well, those are all our questions. If you guys have any more, again, please drop them in the comments below. We'd be happy to answer them or do another one of these questions. With that, thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to give us a thumbs up if you like the video. And subscribe to Travel Reimagined for more travel and RV content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time,
Let's hit the road, Jack.
let's go. All right, what happened?
That was a long night. That was a long day.
It was. So we pulled in. We were already, like 3 hours past the closing, whatever time or
Yeah.
something. It was
It's almost
9:30, almost 10 o'clock, 9:45.
Yeah.
And really kindly, the guy came and like met us. He helped us back in. It's like pitch black here. There's no lights at this campground. It's gorgeous,
It's
but
a really narrow spot that on all three other ends are downhill slopes.
Yes.
So you have to be accurate.
so we went ahead and
Which was great. We got in the spot real quick because he was here. He showed us where we should, some tips, tricks on how to get it. It was perfect. It was easy.
it was super helpful. He like helped us get onto like the only gravel parts for all of our leveling, whatever you call them, or jacks.
Yeah.
Thank you. And good with that. But then Chase and I are like, okay, great. We're all good. Have a good night. See ya. He leaves, and we go to
Start putting everything
together. Auto leveling, getting ourselves together.
Water
Powering on, water on, everything good. So we click auto level, and the truck comes all the way down, and then it just like keeps trying to go down. It was like,
Yeah, the jacks couldn't lower any farther.
When we clicked auto level, it would not continue going down because our campsite, the front of our campsite is higher than our back of our campsite, and it would just kept thinking it needed to get flatter and lower. Then once we started putting it on,
Didn't go down, or went down all the way. Then it went to the front right. Front right couldn't go down far enough to match the front left.
yes.
And aired out.
Either way, it wouldn't friggin' level, and it just kept doing it. So it's downpouring. Chase and I have our phones open. We're using the leveler on our phones and manually trying to level this thing, which we've never done before. We can't figure it out. Anyway, we ended up getting to a point where we could level it manually,
It was
but
really close.
then one entire side was completely suspended off the ground. All the wheels were down, and we were learning that that's like not a good decision as far as weight. The jacks are not like ready to support this sort of weight. So we took everything down. We tried rehitching and like taking the blocks off. Didn't work. We rehitched another time.
Oh wait, we forgot. No, the reason. So front left went down great. Had a block under that and a block under the right. Front left went down, squished the block into the ground. Yep. This was the problem, I think, because then one went down, one didn't go down, so it was too high, and the jack didn't have anywhere to go.
Overall, it wouldn't level. It would not auto level. We did it manually. We screwed it up again. We tried to put it back on the hitch, restart it, didn't work. Anyway,
well, we got on the hitch to get the block out too. That helped.
So yeah. We got it on the hitch to get the block out because it was the only way to get the front block out. Anyway, none of it worked. So we were downpouring, running back and forth. It's absolutely torrential down here. It's muddy. There's no gravel. So
yeah, it's really muddy.
we were absolutely soaking wet. Finally, we were at like the last straw where we did the whole thing. We were all three of our tires on the right side were completely, or the left side were completely suspended. And we literally were like, all right, let's drop it all the way down. We'll put some blocks under it, and let's just whatever. And I said to Chase, I said, let's just try auto leveling one more time. What the f? We're already here. We clicked auto level, and it worked. Don't know what happened. Don't know how we got it.
Meaning we have no idea what really went wrong.
So we don't actually know any
just
problems.
Guessing what happened and what didn't happen because we didn't do anything different. It just worked. So
no, it worked. So here we are. Absolutely drenched. Then like 3.5 hours doing that. Everything's soaked. We haven't eaten dinner yet. It's midnight. We have work tomorrow because it's Monday. We drove 8+ hours today. So that's it. We're gonna have a drink and have dinner, but we'll fill you all in later.